So the 2024 NBA draft is just in a few days, and because of that, I wanted to come on here and give my final 2024 NBA mock draft. So yeah, guys, before we do get started, a few things. One, I'm only going to be doing the lottery, so picks 1 through 14. Second thing, the way I'm going to be making these picks is I'm going to be making them based off what I would do if I was that team's GM. Third thing, there might be trades in this video. And then the last thing, I did my very best to make sure this was just not a complete, carbon copy of my first 2 mock drafts. But yeah, and the final 2 things I do want to say is, of course, hit that like button if you guys end up enjoying the video, since it really does help out the channel. And of course, subscribe if you guys are new and, you guys enjoy content like this. That way, you don't miss out on any new videos like the one you're watching right now. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get this thing started. Alright, so starting off with the first pick in the NBA draft, I got the Atlanta Hawks taking Alexandre Sarr, a center from France. I've kept this pick the same for all 3 of my mocks, so I'll try to keep this one short. Sarr, in my opinion, is the best player in the whole draft, and I think there's a high chance he goes number 1 overall. Defensively, he's elite. He really just needs to polish up his offensive game, because if he does that, I have no doubt in my mind that he will be a star in the NBA. Now with the second overall pick, I got the Washington Wizards taking Zachary Race, a small forward from France. I think the Wizards could consider a point guard here, but I also think there's a high chance that they just take the best player available, who in my opinion is Race, especially because they, could trade Kyle Kuzma in the future. Zachary Race, he's already a really good 3-and-D forward, and he's extremely lengthy. He really just has to improve, as a shot creator. I already think he has the skill set to be a good role player, but if he does come along as a shot creator, then I think Zachary Race could be, a star-level player. Now with the third overall pick via the Nets, I got the Houston Rockets taking Shepard, a shooting guard from Kentucky. I did consider a trade here, as I do think, a trade definitely could be, a good move for Houston depending on who they get. And it is also something that I could see happening in real life. However, I don't know if the Nets will trade Mikal Bridges, and, even then, who knows how much of a boost he will be. He could be a decent one, but he's not exactly, like some game-changing, he's going to turn them into a title contender type acquisition. And I don't know if they'll get somebody like Donovan Mitchell, but enough yapping about, talking about a potential trade-up. Shepard, I really do like him a lot coming out of Kentucky, and I think he'd be a great fit on the Rockets. He's a good combo guard who can shoot the ball well, he's a good scorer, and he's also really good defensively, and he's a pretty solid passer. He is a little bit undersized, and I do think he could improve as a shot creator, but I do think Shepard, again, he would be a really good fit for this team, and I think he can be like a really good role player to good starting level guy in the NBA. With the fourth overall pick, I got the San Antonio Spurs taking Stefon Castle, a point guard from Connecticut. The Spurs, as I've said in, my previous 2 mock drafts, they really do need another true point guard and another playmaker. And I've taken Rob Dillingham the past 2 times, but I'm going to take Stefon Castle here. Stefon Castle, he is a really good playmaker. He can score inside the arc. He's also quite versatile due to his size, and he's really good defensively, unlike Rob Dillingham, who, offensively he is great and, probably better than Stefon Castle, but defensively, he's like a country mile worse. But Stefon Castle, he does need to improve as a 3-point shooter, but I really do like him a lot, and I think he'd be a really good fit on the Spurs. With the 5th overall pick, I got the Detroit Pistons taking Dalton Connect, a small forward from Tennessee. The Pistons, I think, need more established talent, and they also really do need shooting and forward depth. And Dalton Connect, he fits both of those, which makes him such a good fit on the Pistons. He's a great shooter and a really good scorer, and he definitely has improved as a passer and defender, but I will say he could use some work in those areas. Dalton Connect, he is also an older player, so he's a guy with like a really high floor, but a kind of low ceiling. But with that said, I think he'd still be a really good fit, and I do like him a lot coming out of Tennessee. Also, I guess a cool fun fact, he also did grow up in a town that's not too far where I'm originally from. But anyways, with the 6th overall pick, I got the Charlotte Hornets taking Holland, a power forward from the G League. The Hornets should take one of the best players available, and I'd preferably take a forward. And Ron Holland, he's one of the best players available, and yeah, what do you know, he happens to be a forward. But Ron Holland, he's not exactly that good of a floor spacer or decision maker. Those are two things he does need to work on. But with all that said, he is super athletic, he's really good at attacking the rim, and he's also a really good defender. And I think this pick would be absolutely great for the Hornets. Now with the 7th pick in the draft, I got the Portland Trailblazers taking Matas Buzelis, a small forward from the G League. The Blazers should address their front court this draft, as they already got a kind of crowded backcourt, and their front court could use some work. Matas Buzelis, I think, could be a really good pickup, as he has a lot of upside, and because he does have a lot of promise as a shooter, since he shot well in high school, but not exactly in the G League. But there are signs of him being a good shooter. He is a good scorer. He's a pretty solid playmaker, and he is a good team defender as well. But I will say, he does need to improve his ball handling and his on-ball defense, and he does lack strength. But with all of that said, if Matas Buzelis, if he can work on those issues, and who knows, it might take like a year or two for him to really iron those out. But if he does iron those out, then I think Matas Buzelis could be an absolutely great player for this team. Now with the 8th overall pick via the Toronto Raptors, I got the San Antonio Spurs taking Cody Williams, a small forward from Colorado. The Spurs should address their front court with this pick now that they took Castle, in my opinion. And Cody Williams is a super versatile player who can attack the rim. He's a really good defender. He's also pretty good, passing out of the short roll. He does need to get stronger and improve his shot creation. And along with that, as a three-point shooter, it's kind of weird because he definitely shot well in college, but he did so on a low volume. So who knows how legit his three-point shot is. But with that said, Cody Williams, he does have a decent amount of upside, and I do like him a lot coming out of Colorado, and I think he would be a really good pickup for the San Antonio Spurs. With the 9th overall pick, I got the Memphis Grizzlies taking Donovan Kingan, a center out of Connecticut. I've kept this pick, the same for all 3 mocks, so I'll try to keep this one short as well. Memphis, look, they just need a big man, and Donovan Kingan, he's the clear-cut second best big man in the draft. Great lob threat, really good rebounder, really good shot blocker, and a really good defender as well. So Donovan Kingan on Memphis, he would be a great fit. With the 10th overall pick, I got the Utah Jazz taking Nikola Tosic, a point guard from Serbia. Now I struggled a lot with this pick, and it took me some time to decide with what to do here. Mostly because a lot of the best forwards in the class weren't available. But anyways, Nikola Tosic, he did partially tear his ACL, and he does need to improve his shooting and his defense. But Nikola Tosic is still one of the best, players in this draft, despite the fact that he partially tore his ACL, as he's a really good playmaker, and he's extremely good at scoring inside the rim. Not only that, but he is a pretty big point guard, so, if he can, improve defensively, then, he could be, he could grow into being a pretty solid defender. And I know the Jazz already have Colin Sexton and Keontae George and even Chris Dunn, who's been, pretty solid for them. However, there are rumors out there that Colin Sexton, could be traded. And I know Colin Sexton was pretty good in the second half of last year, especially and he was a good playmaker. But I still feel like the Jazz maybe could, use like more of a traditional point guard who's a really good playmaker. Now with the 11th overall pick, I got the Chicago Bulls taking Rob Dillingham, a point guard from Kentucky. The Bulls, I want to say yesterday, not that long ago as I'm recording this, just traded Alex Caruso to the Thunder for Josh Giddey. So, some people might be confused by this pick, but truthfully, I'm not like the biggest Josh Giddey fan, not only just because of, what he did off the court, but even on the court, he does, have his problems. And I feel like Josh Giddey, his upside, basketball-wise might just, be best. He might just be best as like a backup point guard. I'm really just not the biggest Josh Giddey fan. But yeah, Rob Dillingham, as I kind of alluded to before, defensively he is not good at all. However, offensively he would be a really big boost, and along with that, Rob Dillingham is one of the best players available, and I think the Bulls are going to be entering a rebuild this offseason. So getting somebody like him with quite a bit of upside, would be, that he'd be a pretty good start to their rebuild. And as I mentioned before, while he is, really bad defensively, he is really good offensively. And Kobe White, he is a pretty solid defender, so he could help Rob Dillingham, on that side of the ball. With the 12th overall pick via the Rockets, I got the Oklahoma City Thunder taking Tristan Silva, a power forward from Colorado. The Thunder really do need some front court help, and I think a center like Kel'el Ware, Yves Missy, or even Zach Edey could also be in play here. But with all that said, they can get a center, in free agency like Nicholas Claxton or Isaiah Hartenstein, so I went with Tristan Silva. He's a really versatile player who can shoot the ball well, pretty solid defender, solid playmaker, and he can grab boards. He's an older prospect and also isn't that good of a shot creator or really that good of an athlete. But with all that said, he is a good player. I think he could be a really good role player in the league, and he would help address the lack. The lack of forward depth, on this team. With the 13th pick in the draft, I got the Sacramento Kings taking Kel'el Ware, a center out of Indiana. Now I went with Devin Carter the last two mocks, and, I almost went with him again, and you definitely could do that. However, now that I think about it, especially in light of the recent Malik Monk re-signing, now that Malik Monk, recently re-signed, and now that I think about it, I really do feel like the Kings should prioritize upgrading their front court mostly, and they could use a backup 5. Kel'el Ware, he is super athletic, he's a good rebounder, really good shot blocker as well, and he's a pretty good defender, and he has shown signs of being a good three-point shooter as well. There are questions about his motor and his effort, and I think that is like a big reason why he, transferred from Oregon in his freshman year to, Indiana in his sophomore year. But if he can, get those effort issues cleaned up, then Kel'el Ware, in my opinion, is going to be a really good player in the league. And with the final pick, the 14th pick in this mock draft via the Warriors, I got the Portland Trail Blazers taking Tijani Salon, a power forward from France. I know this pick is the same again, but to me it really just makes a lot of sense. So I'll try to keep this one short as well. But Salon, he is raw, but he does have all the tools to be a really good contributor on this team. And the Blazers, as I said before, they really do need to add some talent to their front court. And I think Portland would be a pretty good landing spot for him. But that's all I gotta say for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And then check me out on social media. The links to my Twitter, well, I guess you can call it X now, but I prefer Twitter. The links to that, along with my Instagram, are in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.